I personally think that this is a hot topic and that we should be talking about it. Is Rambo 6 ever going to happen? Well, here is everything that you need to know. Sylvester Stallone's John Rambo will finally make a comeback in Rambo Last Blood, directed by Adrian Grunberg. And judging by the recently released teaser trailer, this new installment seems to be just as nasty and gory as we fans like our Rambo. But given that, as the title implies, I'm unsure if this Last Blood will indeed be the last Rambo film to be released in the franchise. It would appear that the answer is a resounding no, if Stallone has anything to say about it at least. Recently, the actor promoted the most current Rambo movie while out and about, telling us all that if it succeeds, he'll keep doing it. I don't know about you, but it seems like we have pretty good chances. As long as this movie is just as badass as the first one, this franchise can keep going. However, what I do believe is that if Rambo 6 is going to happen, it would probably cost less to film given Last Blood, which cost roughly $50 million to make, had generally unfavorable reviews, and failed to gross over $100 million globally. At one point, Stallone was in discussions with David Morrell, the author of the First Blood novel that introduced the Rambo character, regarding a script for the fifth film that would be a soulful ending for the character, as he considered his life and the numerous wars he had taken part in. Though the likelihood of a Rambo 6 with the main character hiding out on a reserve and meditating on his history currently appears remote, but it may make for an intriguing plot point. But what would most likely happen in Rambo 6? Well, before that, let's take a quick look at past Rambo movies. Despite becoming synonymous with slam-bang violence, Sylvester Stallone's Rambo franchise has proven to have very long legs. The character's inception was somewhat different. Even though First Blood from 1982 had plenty of action, it served more as a psychological thriller. Stallone's Green Beret Vietnam veteran John J. Rambo was being sought by a group of inexperienced small-town officers through the forest of the Pacific Northwest for no more serious an offense than mere vagrancy. Rambo's reputation as a one-man army was established in his second movie in the series, 1985's Rambo First Blood Part 2, which Stallone co-wrote with a young James Cameron. Rambo was not having it when he was dropped back into Vietnam for what was intended to be a recon mission to find American prisoners of war. Instead, he freed the prisoners of war, killed probably everyone in the nation who owned a rifle, and effectively ended the conflict. Rambo III released in 1988 and sent the hero into Afghanistan to save Colonel Sam Troutman, a friend and mentor, Richard Crenna, despite the fact that, according to the numbers, that film made even more money than its predecessor. Stallone made the decision to take a long hiatus from the Rambo role. 20 years later in 2008, the second Rambo film in the series was released. Rambo accompanied a crew of mercenaries into Myanmar in the brutal sequel in an effort to free a group of abducted missionaries. The series' apparent conclusion came with the even bloodier Rambo Last Blood from 2019, in which an aged Rambo embarks on a solo mission to Mexico while cooling his heels as a worker on his late father's Arizona ranch. John Rambo, the charming Vietnam veteran and neighborhood killer, goes on to smash that like button. No, but seriously, John Rambo goes full cowboy and takes on the Mexican drug cartels after deciding it would be a good idea to abduct the daughter of one of his friends. These poor folks made it into Rambo's naughty list, but this ignites in him all the buried wrath and anguish that he has been hiding. With wounded Rambo galloping out on his horse after taking off the hit squad who arrived at his property, the movie finished on somewhat of an unclear note. Adrian Grunberg directed this latest installment of the Rambo franchise from a screenplay by Sylvester Stallone and Matthew Kuronick, writers of Paid in Full. The movie is produced by Kevin King Templeton and Les Weldon and is being sponsored by Avi Lerner's Millennium. The film's executive producers are Boaz Davidson, Trevor Short, and Lerner Paz Vega plays Carmen Delgado, a reporter reporting on the Mexican drug trade who helps Rambo after a Mexican cartel kidnaps her younger half-sister. Stallone also co-stars in the film. Adriana Barraza plays Maria Beltran, who is referred to as being like a sister to Rambo, and has spent her entire life working on Rambo's father's farm. And Sergio Perez Mencheta plays Hugo Martinez, the vicious boss of a Mexican cartel. In addition to all of that, Gabriel, the young girl abducted by the Mexican cartel, is portrayed by Yvette Monreal. Further cast include Jeannie Kim, Joaquin Cosio, Sheila Shah, Dimitri Vegas, with Oscar Hineda as Victor Martinez, and Luis Mondilor as Sheriff. So if Rambo 6 does happen, it would probably be a prequel, and sources say it might not even be a movie. Fans who had been paying attention may have anticipated this, of course. During a sit-down interview with Screen Rant in September of 2019, Stallone was questioned about how much more of Rambo's story he thought there remained to share. "I always thought of Rambo when he was 16 or 17. I hope they can do the prequel," he said. "Rambo was the best person you could find. He was the captain of the team. He was the most popular kid in school, super athlete. He was like Jim Thorpe, and the war is what changed him. If you could see him before, he was like the perfect guy." That proved not to be a casual comment. Stallone commented on the concept during a conversation with a fan on Instagram via MovieWeb more than a year later, in November of 2020. When asked if Rambo might make a comeback, Sly provided a succinct but incredibly intriguing response. "Only as a streaming prequel, or not at all. I mean, one might not be blamed for doubting that young Rambo could turn into a successful series. But one need not go very far to discover recent examples that indicate that such a thing could, in fact, work pretty darn well. On paper, a show about the formative years of iconic villain Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs didn't exactly sound like a brilliant idea, but for 3 seasons between 2013 and 2015, NBC's Hannibal dazzled viewers and critics with its superb writing and plotting, not to mention Mads Mikkelsen's portrayal of the title character. In actuality, the true reason Hannibal was canceled might have to do with you not smashing that subscribe button and ringing that notification bell, or the show's excessive number of admirers who, regrettably, opted to download episodes rather than watch them live. Take into account Bates Motel as well, which serves as the prologue to Norman Bates, the notorious antagonist of Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 proto-slasher classic Psycho. With its well-developed characters, knack for gripping suspense, and the performance of its cast, which included Freddie Highmore as Norman and Vera Farmiga as Norma, his cunning, psychologically abusive mother. That series, which aired on A&E for 5 seasons between 2013 and 2017, won a devoted following and nearly universal acclaim. Any investigation into how John J. Rambo got to be known as the Rambo, the last person on Earth that you'd want to mess with, would require the correct creative team and cast, just like with any TV series. But if it did, it's almost clear that Stallone would be involved, because the actor has some fairly good artistic instincts. We believe that he is once again on the correct path when it comes to the future of Rambo, and we are pulling for him to fulfill his ambition of creating a prequel television series. See you in the next video.